flight. That was cool.
Wait, so you had the first flight from India to London. Okay.
Yeah.
Nobody there. Cool.
Nobody
that makes
there.
sense.
Nobody.
Okay.
The flight was also at 4 a.m.
Yeah, that'll do it.
So a 4 a.m. on like a Saturday morning, like nobody was doing.
Nobody's going there.
Yeah.
Ain't nobody doing that.
And then the second flight from London to Atlanta, of course, is a much more traveled flight. So there were a ton of people in that.
See, I thought you were saying that you flew from India to America on a flight with just 50 people. And I was like, I'm going to stab you next time I see you. Because if you did a transatlantic, right?
Yeah.
If you did a transatlantic flight and there was only 50 people on the plane, that you're either a celebrity or you're gonna get stoned as soon as you get off the plane, because nobody deserves that kind of treatment.
Yeah, that would have been insane, but no, that was not the case.
Okay. Okay.
So.
Well, that's nice. I'm glad that you got home safe.
Yeah, it was really not that bad. Comparatively, my parents actually flew back a few days before we did. Mm-hmm. So they went and they were like 5 or 6 days, and they get off the plane, they do their flight, and then they turned around and flew out to Paris like almost immediately.
Okay.
But they had for like an event for like a day and then fly out to Paris.
Okay.
They get back and my stepmom messages me and she's like, rough flight, but made it home safe. So I look at FlightAware, which for anybody who doesn't know, every single flight in the world, regardless of private, public, or however you do it, you have to do a flight record, and your whole flight gets charted by your ABS or AD system or whatever it is inside of your plane, and gets sent up to FlightAware and a bunch of other systems also. So you can see any flight and track the whole thing down to the like 15-second intervals. So I go and I look at their FlightAware, and it has the chart for like speed and altitude, and they flew from Mumbai to Doha, which is a 2.5-hour flight or something, 3-hour flight, something like that. But their next flight was Doha to Atlanta. So they did a 16-hour flight.
Yep.
There.
Yep.
So I looked at their 16-hour flight, and their 16-hour flight, that graph goes up, and it's like 10 hours of like this type of nonsense. And I was like,
no, that's never good.
So that day, there was a giant storm system all up the East Coast, all the way over to Europe.
Pushing all that air up.
They just had
the worst time.
An absolute terrible time. Our day was relatively turbulence and free and nice. So
you need to be
way worse.
Eric, the reason why you don't like to fly is because you try to know too much. Like, I didn't even know that there was a FlightAware site. You just don't need to know too much. Speaking of not knowing too much,
when I get on a plane, like, I don't like it for the same reasons Eric does. But when I sit down, I accept that my life might be over, and that was the last I ever talked to anybody I talked to. It's just over. And now I live in purgatory. I feel like I am dead until I have landed.
See, you took it much farther than I thought you were gonna take it. I thought you were gonna say something like, and I just let it go, it's fine. Yeah. Like, you were like, no, I'm dead.
I literally feel like I'm dead.
He's like, I'm dead. I'm dead now.
My soul is already passed on. It might come back.
Legit, that's how it feels. I feel dead. It's like I'm in a completely different world and universe.
That's fair.
While I'm on the flight.
Anthony, what you been up to since last week?
Not flying. Definitely not flying. But
obviously not.
I have been trying to repair an electric car for a week. And it turns out the big battery, needs to be replaced. So luckily, I mean, this is not luck, really. This is strategy. Be like me. Don't buy an electric car that doesn't have a warranty on that
Yeah.
part of the car.
Yeah.
Because now we get not free because we have to pay for towing, but we get a basically,
Brand
it's
new
like
battery.
getting an engine swap in an old car.
Yep.
So now, like, if we go to sell a car, we're gonna like, this is more valuable than any car of its same age because 0 miles on the battery, and like 50,000 miles on the car. So like, that's a huge selling point, and it's gonna be, I think, slightly upgraded, if not potentially majorly upgraded, because they don't even make those old battery cells anymore. So
There
it
you
can't
go.
have that worse, slower technology. Hopefully it can charge faster and stuff. We'll see.
Fingers crossed.
But trying to fix it was a huge pain because it was like the 12 volt, which is a normal battery, but not normal because it's tiny and no one sells it. So you can't just replace that. It's like there's something wrong with that. So I'm like trying to fix that all week, and eventually just gave up.
Yourself physically, like you tried to fix it.
So I mean, you can jump the cars. Like they have abilities to be jumped, even an electric car. I've had a little thing that you plug into the wall and you hook it up to the battery, and it recharges it, and it does maintenance charging, and it tells you like if it's
What's going on?
if it's healthy and stuff like that. And I was like, dude, the battery says it's fine. Like, but why is it saying it's not fine? Is it the fuses? And then luckily I have a multimeter, so it's like, okay, go and tap all the fuses because it wasn't the fuse it was supposed to be. So I tapped like 100 fuses. None of those were bad. So now,
Now you're getting a brand new car, pretty much.
basically. So that's
Let's go.
that's a reward of
Hey.
sorts. Still,
I will say, I got to ride a new Model 3 the other day because our good friend who picked us up from the airport, he just got the new Model 3. The new Model 3 is so nice.
I bet.
It's like night and day. It is. It's got like LED strips on the side that are like slightly illuminated, but just the whole car has like this nice subtle glow to it,
Dude.
with all different types of colors. It has a secondary screen in the back.
We picked up dinner the other day on the way to the grocery store, and we just ate it in the car, and we used theater mode for like the first time, and I was like, whoa, the lighting is cool. I was like, I never knew the lighting was so cool. Why don't they do this more often? I felt like I was in a super special ship in Star Citizen where they've got all the lights. Yeah.
The camp mode does similar things too. It's nice.
Yeah, the camp mode's weird when it makes the screen feel hot, like it's an actual fire.
Yo, what?
Yeah.
That's a hazard. Wait,
Yeah.
it doesn't get that hot. It doesn't get like
Well,
hot.
in the Model 3, because it can like digitally move the air vents, which I both like and dislike, it just points them at where the fire is. So
Yeah.
it fakes you out. It makes you
Interesting.
think that the fire, it's like an actual fire. Where's that echo coming from? Hello? No one lights up. Weird. Sometimes
Meh,
the echo is there.
meh.
But yeah,
Okay.
it's been pretty good.
Sammy.
It's been pretty good.
Well,
Outside of that,
how's your week?
Mine?
Yeah.
Mine's been eventful. Last week was really rough. Just a lot of time and effort going into just general day to day, and I didn't sleep really much the weekend before because we had family over for early Christmas, and then the day before that we had some kind of event. I don't know, but it was a pretty much back-to-back weekend, so I didn't really rest on the weekend, which I usually do to go ahead and get ready for like the week. And then literally the week after, it was just like I was falling asleep at work multiple times. I would get home and I would do absolutely nothing. Like I would just sit and listen to Winds and Truth.
Have you started listening to it already?
Yeah, of course. Why would I not, sir?
No.
You're gonna have to go ahead and listen at 1.5.
I know.
because I'm going to talk about it.
That's fair.
You have a week.
Hey,
You don't actually have a week.
speaking
You
of-
have longer than a week.
Yeah, a little bit longer.
Yeah.
But speaking of sleep, I have, there was a story back in the day that Sean Plott, the great Day 9, did, where he talked about his superpower. And ladies and gentlemen, I have found my superpower.
What's that?
So everybody, when I went on this trip, they assured me that some things were gonna happen. They were like, "You're gonna hate the weather. Food's gonna make you sick. People are gonna come up." And then they were like, "Wait a second, is this your first flight where you're gonna be going like to different countries and across different time zones?" And they were like, "Hey, get prepared for that jet lag." And I have found that I am immune to jet lag.
Eric.
It does not affect me.
Eric.
Said the liar.
Jet lag
Eric.
is a
Eric. I'm gonna stop you right there. Jet lag does not care who you are. I'm gonna tell you straight up. I'm
I
gonna tell you
have
straight up.
felt no effects.
You're not gonna feel the effects.
Question.
Probably the day of or the day after. How long
But
has
I
it been
haven't
since you
felt-
guys landed?
But I didn't feel it when I
No.
went there.
How long have you?
And
No.
West to east is
That's
supposed to
fine.
be worse.
It is what it is. How long has it been since you got off the plane?
It's been 2 days. Over
It's been 2 days.
Wait,
Yeah.
And you're wow.
he thinks he only sleeps for like 3 to 5 hours, Ash. But my question is, what is the longest you have slept in the past month in a single session?
Longest I have slept?
What is the longest amount of time you've been in bed asleep in the past month? Like 4 weeks in bed to getting out of bed, not just asleep, laying in bed to getting out of bed. What was the longest?
Well,
Amount of time.
laying in bed, like there are nights where I watch TV for like an hour. So probably around 8 hours.
8 hours?
8 hours.
So you do get 7 hours, 6 or 7 hours of sleep every now and then. But don't you
Yeah.
sometimes just like pass out for like 15 hours, sir?
I will say I've only done that about twice this year. But yes, every now and then.
Eric.
So like maybe that's your body making up for something?
I feel like Eric's life is just like it's just a warning sign. His body is literally like is behind the curtain, just pulling all the levers, just going. You can't take much more of this, Captain.
Most people didn't even sleep for 15 hours when they were a teenager, dude.
I mean, but yeah, like once or twice, every now and then. And that's also not 15 hours. I don't think I have ever, I don't think at least this year I've slept for more than 11 hours.
10, I think a normal person can reach
10
10.
Is a
has been, like-
long time.
It is a
dude.
long time, but
But-
I think people can
Agreed,
reach
but
10.
that's like, that's like twice this year.
Yeah.
Every other day, I'm sleeping 5 to 6 hours.
If you're colorblind, red flags are just pretty. Oh my god.
Got him, Anthony.
Thanks, Ash.
Ash, that's so good. Colorblind reflex are just.
Oh man.
Let's go ahead and
But
drink
yes.
some bourbon, y'all.
But yeah, Eric might be a dolphin. For those out there
my.
that think you can be like him, you can't. It's like 0.00005% of the population that can actually get by with less sleep than normal.
Eric is
Don't
inhuman.
try to do it.
But see, sleep isn't the problem. Jet lag is an immunity of mine.
Oh my god. It's
And-
jet lag is a sleep thing, bro.
I have a superpower.
I'm special.
Xavier will be here shortly.
Did you watch
better
Deadpool versus
join-
Wolverine? Because I think his sister's about to show up.
So, funnily enough, I haven't seen it yet, but
Oh my
B
God.
watched it on the plane. So I
Why
have
would you-
seen, I have
B-
seen all of it, but I
B-
didn't hear any of it.
We need to have a
Cannot
talk, B.
believe.
B, if you're
Cannot
listening,
believe.
we need to talk about your standards when it comes to watching movies. Okay? That is not the type of movie you watch on a plane.
It's
My
not a
God.
movie. No.
My God. Especially if there's kids.
No, fuck this.
Ridiculous.
Uh,
Right. Right.
Guys, speaking of movies you can't watch with kids, I haven't watched it yet, but I must, and I think everyone else will agree when they watch the trailer, watch Fat Man.
oh, Fat Man's great.
You've seen it?
Yeah, I've seen it multiple times. Fat Man.
Oh,
is
okay.
amazing.
That means
One
it
of
is
the
definitely
best-
good.
One of the best like Christmas movies.
Long story short, Santa gives the wrong kid some coal. That kid orders a hit on Santa. This isn't Santa's first rodeo, played by Mel Gibson.
No shoot.
Yeah, dude,
no
it is.
one gets
It gets. It looks so intense.
Dude, you gotta watch
Very
that
adult.
trailer, Nat. It is unbelievable.
Fat
okay,
Man.
So on
Okay.
the plane, we started a new anime, by the way, which I got to speak about just for a second. 'cause
Okay,
It won't take up
'cause-
too much time.
Okay.
And I caught up on a lot of anime and watched a lot of anime in the background
not Arcane.
while I was on the plane.
Wow.
We've okay. Did watch one episode more or two episodes more of Arcane one
On the
episode
plane?
more of Arcane.
You didn't
No,
finish?
no, not on the plane. Not
I
on
would
the
have
plane,
been
after we
so
got back.
disappointed if y'all watched that on the plane.
No, we did. I needed a good sound setup.
Thank
we
you.
haven't finished it yet, but we are watching it. We started watching it. We started a new anime, and at first, the reason I started watching this anime is because the OP is dope as shit. It is so good.
Start with a D.
Probably, yes, it does.
Yeah.
Okay.
Let's
Dun
go.
Da Dun. It's
Yeah.
one of the raunchiest, crazy,
so good.
wild rides I think I have ever had. So, Anthony, have you seen this yet?
Oh man.
I'm gonna give you this- so good. So, Anthony, let me paint the synopsis. Don't read fucking wiki on your side monitor. It won't give you the right answer.
Can I look at images?
Yes.
No, well, maybe.
Yeah. Why not?
So,
Are you sure it's
Anthony,
not Yona of the Dawn?
This
No, it's D A
it's Dun Da
N
Dun.
D A D A N.
D-A-N.
No,
So-
D A N D A N D A D A N.
Yes.
How dare you spell it wrong?
So,
Dan Dadan.
yeah. Dun, dun, dun.
Dan Dan.
Dan
you have to
Dadan.
say it. You have
Yeah,
to
Dan
say
Dadan.
it correctly. It's
Dan
dun,
Dadan.
Dan Dan. Dan
dun,
Dan.
dun, dun.
Dan
Dan
Dadan.
Dan Dan.
So, Anthony and audience, let me paint you a picture in a synopsis form of what this anime is really about. It is this wonderful romantic love comedy between a guy who believes in aliens and doesn't believe in ghosts, and a girl who believes in ghosts but doesn't
Don't
believe
believe
in
in
aliens.
aliens.
They find out that both are there and both are trying to steal your dick. Bam. That's the show. Fucking wild. It is insane. That is the show.
I'm so glad
Ghosts,
that you love it.
aliens, good to go. What are they trying to do? Eat your dick. Like, that's the show.
Guys, it's not that simple, but it really is.
Ash, we finished the first episode, and my wife looked at me and said, Ash needs to watch this fucking show. This show is wild. It is wild. And you start off watching this show and you're like, they didn't actually say that though, did they? Is that what they said?
Yeah,
and then
banana.
He's like, banana.
Let me get that banana.
I need the banana.
Yo, Ash, in his defense, we only watched 2 out of 3 episodes. I mean, it wasn't on purpose, but we were delayed with the third.
He knew what he had to do for the third episode. He knew what he had to do. But I'm glad that you like Dan Dan. Anthony, you actually probably will really like Dan Dan. It's got the same kind of, it's got really good pacing. Honestly, between that and Kagurabachi, I think those are my 2 favorite stories right now coming out of anime. So definitely worth a look.
Wild.
Hope it has a
Yeah.
good dub.
Oh yeah. Oh no, it does.
Really?
It does.
Dude,
Yeah,
I just
yeah.
like,
I
that's nuts, man.
It's one of those that I've actually heard like clips from the dub, and I'm like, oh, that's actually pretty good.
So I will say, funnily enough, I I don't know what it is, but just the way that planes work and how I'm not like the biggest plane enjoyer, so I get like a little bit of anxiety on planes, and it like stresses. Funnily enough, I find it really hard to like watch and listen to subs on planes.
That's fair. A lot of distraction. Small line.
Yeah. So I actually listened to Dun 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 as an English dub, and they did a really good job with it. So like that is totally fine as a dub. It's
Dude, I just like for me, I had no idea until learning more about dyslexia that I've just been dyslexic forever, and that I don't like it because I have to concentrate. Like it's
You have to concentrate on the text. You don't concentrate on the actual show itself.
I have to concentrate on the text to make sure I get it right, because I used to think it was no big deal, but every day I will see words, and like there's this guy that I was playing a game with the other day. His name is like something like Pink, Mr. Pink or something like that. And I read something Mr. Pumpkins. I was like, wait a second, that's no how? That's not even close. That's not even close to pumpkins. It's pink. What is
Start
happening?
with a P. Start with a P.
know.
Your brain was like, that I is kind of sus, but that N. That could
And then
be
I
an
called
M.
him Pumpkins, and he was like, "It's okay. It's not the first time I've been called Pumpkin."
See, dyslexias are everywhere, man.
No, he meant like,
Oh.
"Hey, Pumpkin,"
that's funny.
Oh.
or both. It could have been both.
Oh.
So
What are we drinking, guys?
today is
This?
really interesting. Yeah, number 2. This is number 2 from Hotel Flaviar, our second year with Flaviar. The first one was really, really good. Of course, then I went to India, and so we weren't able to do this because I couldn't carry these with me to India. But this is the Bhakta 1928. And if I'm reading this correctly, and I've been wanting to try Bhakta for a while, because I'm pretty sure that this is a rye whiskey that has been fortified or blended with Armagnacs.
It definitely
If I'm
says
reading this
Armagnac on it.
correctly-
It says Calvados and Armagnac.
Yeah, so Bhakta is known for like, they've been popping up in the premium whiskey world. So I've seen some Bhaktas that are super, super expensive. Now, I haven't had any of these yet.
Me either, but I've seen the bottle. It looks cool.
I know that they have cognacs, bourbons, Armagnacs. The bottle looks very 1920s.
Guys,
It's giving Bioshock.
we're getting ahead of ourselves because, you know, as the sun graciously bestows its morning light upon...
Oh God! Shut up.
Right? It's so weird. I don't mind the art, but get rid of the text.
The art is great.
Get rid of
I
the
mean,
text.
Honestly, if you had that narrated by the right person, I would listen to it. But it's not for the common reader.
Dude, what
sorry.
if these little things were so advanced that it was like every page is one of those gift cards where you open it and it does that. It just talks.
I mean, that would actually drive me insane.
You wouldn't feel like
That would be
Cyberpunk?
insane.
I would
Cyberpunk
dig
tech?
out the battery of each of those pages.
I do like being able to see the whole bottle though, if that's like
Yeah,
the real
for
bottle.
sure, for sure.
This
All
is a
right.
really cool looking bottle, like very fancy. Definitely not easy
it
to
has
make.
this like 1920s.
Yeah,
like, Vegas
it reminds me of like a
vibe
diner
going.
or a movie theater.
Yes.
It's giving me Bioshock vibes, guys.
Oh,
Yeah.
literally says 1928.
Just
Ooh,
always
and
read.
I think
Gorge.
100%
Yep.
Whoa, that
the
smells
caramel.
incredibly.
It has this like very bright.
Holy Jesus Christ.
Sultry kind of vibe. Yeah. Citrusy.
Vanilla.
This
I don't know
bodes
if
well.
Almost orange-esque.
It smells very sweet. I definitely get like the grape, maybe raisin type of thing. It's got like this bright, fruity note with some caramelly vanilla undertones.
But it's like a subtle
cheers?
fruit. It's not like a sharp fruit. It's a
Yes,
very
it is-
mellow
Yeah.
fruit.
All right, friends. Cheers
To not flying,
to not flying.
Yes, not flying.
but perhaps skydiving. Just no, never mind.
That's a very spicy plum type of flavor. It's so different than it smells. It has this bouquet of sweetness into this rye spice, peppery. It has quite the kick to it at 50%.
Oh my god. I just got an
ABV.
aftertaste of grape.
I get that too. I get that Armagnac aftertaste for sure.
This is probably one of the best we've ever had.
I'm really glad nobody has been looking at. I really hope there's no clip of this that ever exists, because I just went through an entire like face seizure of emotions. I'm so sorry. Oh god.
Nat just went to heaven, came back.
No, I didn't even go to heaven. I'm just like I went on a freaking roller coaster. Like,
It is a roller coaster of a drink for sure. This has a lot of
It's still changing.
different avenues that it goes through. It changes a lot. It's very diverse. It has notes.
Hi,
of
Mom, we
rye
are
whiskey, Armagnac.
She just asked.
Oh,
oh god.
we
Hey,
are
Mom.
Oh, she's on the YouTubes. Which,
She's on
by
the
way,
YouTube?
YouTube's up. Yeah, the YouTube.
Yes, Mom, we're live on YouTube and Twitch. We mostly read the Twitch chat because we forget about YouTube.
That is accurate. That is accurate. Sometimes we forget about the YouTube and we kind of just, we coddle our sweet Twitch audience.
Yes,
Wow.
get coddled, Ash.
Nat, I can't tell.
Sorry for
based
interrupting.
on your facial expressions, I can't tell whether you like it or don't like it.
I don't know yet.
I think
I went for a second and I was like, this is completely different. I'm waiting for it to kick me because I know it's
It
there.
has a much darker flavor on the mouth than on the nose. It turns from these caramel, vanilla, bright fruit notes into darker fruits like plums, dark raisins,
Current.
currants, currants, those types of things. And
How
then it goes
interesting.
into this woody, this very oak, wood forward flavor that turns into this rye spiciness. This is a very dynamic whiskey for sure.
yeah, I mean the
This,
number
by
of
the
flavors
way-
that happen, and it's surprisingly good for 50% alcohol.
Yeah,
It's-
for 50% alcohol, the rye really kicks up the spice and it makes it feel hotter than it actually is. So this is a blend of 60% 2018 rye that has been finished in virgin French oak barrels. It is 30% XO Calvados, which of course the XO is the age of cognac. So that's like how they age cognac.
Okay.
But Calvados,
I hate you, Ash.
Yeah,
Calvados
she
are
clipped
branded.
it.
You're such a fucking troll.
Face emotions.
My true dungeon sister fucked me, man. It happened.
so yes. So it's a blend, 10%, 30% of the XO Calvados and 10% of an Armagnac.
Is that Armagnac or Armagnac?
You know, I'm
It's
gonna be
aardvark,
real.
you dummies.
I'm not 100% sure.
Because I feel like that's Armagnac, but I don't know if the C is freaking
Oh,
silent.
obviously.
So it is Armagnac.
Armagnac. Armagnac.
Armagnac.
Okay. So what is that?
Armagnac is a French brandy similar to cognac, but
obviously.
there's the
Hold your nose.
brightness. Okay,
Armagnac. Armagnac.
Shut up, Anthony.
Armagnac.
so there are a ton of different names for brandies. in France, especially based on where that brandy was made. So cognacs are specifically from Cognac, France, or they're supposed to. Whereas
That explains why this is
Armagnac
so bright
is from
on the
different-
nose.
Yeah, so this is a blend of two different brandies with a rye whiskey.
Interesting. They balanced the spice with the sweet and thought that it would like make an interesting experience. They did not
I was
disappoint.
about to say, if nothing else, even if you didn't like this whiskey, it is such an interesting experience.
So is it even a
from
whiskey
nose
then?
To taste.
Or is this my favorite mixed drink?
This is a blend. For
It's a
sure.
blend.
This is a mixed drink in a lot of ways. It isn't a straight whiskey by any means.
Yeah, what does the bottle say? It says nothing.
Wow.
Actually,
Wow.
it says straight rye whiskey.
So the
Well, it's a
rye
blend straight
on its own.
But there's no
It's straight.
regulations for straight rye whiskey, right?
Not really.
You can just say that.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think
To
that's why.
some degree,
I think that's
yeah.
one of the reasons why we got so like, oh, rye is the best, and then what the
And then
heck is this?
we went
And
to
then
a freaking-
oh, rye is the best.
Yeah.
what a wide range of emotions that trip.
Especially given that you can still put corn in rye. Like what? Like that's tripped up my brother-in-law so many times because he's allergic to corn. He's like, oh, it's a rye. No, not
dude.
that one.
It's no.
Yeah.
You have to check the mash bill, my guy.
They don't always tell you, and then you try to find out, and you don't have cell service
Oh,
because it doesn't always say it on the bottle. That's why.
Yeah.
That's why we love
It doesn't have to.
Bardstown. They tell you
They tell
what's
you
in it,
everything. Yeah.
in the percentages, in the years, and it's like, thank you.
Yeah.
People care about that.
Bardstown is nice in that.
Guys, this is
The story of a girl.
shut up.
Who cried around the whole world.
I'm
In
gonna count
the
10.
green room, y'all, we were talking about how we're all about to be together, and I just need to anger Nat right now before he's here, so that I don't anger him while he's here, because then I might die.
I'm a physical person, guys. I'm a physical person.
When he's affectionately like when he's like happy tapping you, you still almost fall over.
You feel it. You
So
feel
what
it.
is your physical level with this whiskey?
My physical level with this is that oh god. So I usually don't like experiences like this when it comes to alcohol. I like the ride. Let it not be said that I don't enjoy a very interesting whiskey, but whenever it like takes you up a really big hill and then drops you into I don't know, hellfire or whatever, usually not my cup of tea. I like it to be like valleys, but like not a skydive experience gone wrong. That being said, this is making a case for having like experimental like bottles of whiskey to have around to show people, hey, I know you like whiskey. Let's try this together and see how you feel about it. Because I feel like a lot of the whiskeys that we've either gotten or I've gotten a bottle of, I've bought and they've been pretty standard bourbons. They've been really good bourbons or whiskeys, but like they're pretty standard. This is the first time where I'm like, this is not standard and you probably need to try it just because it's an experience. So I would say as an experience, I physically fucks with this. I would not daily drink this. Full stop. But with the brightness from the brandy and then also the heat from the rye, it is definitely something to experience. I would give this a 4.5 out of 10, and I would pay $80 for it. Just to go ahead and put it on my shelf. Would I put it on my shelf? Not unless there's a party coming up and I know there's at least 5 whiskey heads showing up.
Anthony?
So, I think that this is very interesting because some of the best whiskeys we've ever had do what this does, where there is a beautiful smell, it's very deep. When you taste it, it has multiple layers and evolutions and moments where you can identify like different stages of the drink. And given that it might be a blend or a mix of sorts where they added 10% of another alcohol, some might say that's like cheating. Some might say that's like genius because you just did something that costs like $10,000 by just being smart about what you mixed. The thing is, it checks all the boxes for being a rye whiskey. It's got the right taste, the right burn, the right bitterness, even, well, actually, yep, it's even on the nose. So you can fully identify that there's a rye whiskey here. And then it also has a very interesting roller coaster that I think is like pretty awesome. You know, I'm strapped in going on the loop-de-loops over and over again. Like I'm screaming, woo, I'm screaming, man. I'm just screaming. I don't know what I'm screaming.
Wow.
But
wow. Pause.
It's pretty good. Well, I realized while saying that when I'm on a roller coaster I don't scream. I just go, yeah. So I was like, I don't know how to articulate
Stay in the
that.
moment, Anthony. Stay in the moment. You got this. You're almost there.
It's like I'm not a screamer.
Pause.
Anyways, I think this is at least a 7 out of 10. I think if it was a straight whiskey with no blend, I would say it's an 8 out of 10 or a 9 out of 10. But
wow,
it is really, really complex, good, impressive. Like, it's not too sweet. It's 50% with a blend. Like, we've had worse and better, not better, but like more. Most of the time when people reach this level of sweetness and stuff like that, it's like 42% alcohol. And I'm like, okay, well, we're drinking wine, whatever. Yeah. So yeah, it's like 7 out of 10. You know, I'd probably pay like easily just to have it, because I wouldn't daily drink it, but I would like, I really like how the bottle looks. I'd love to just have it here and share it every now and then. I'd easily pay $72. And if it's more, I would consider it.
Would you put it on your? So you would put it on your shelf. You would not
it's
daily drink it.
Beautiful,
but you
bottle.
Okay, got you.
And yeah, I mean, it makes me kind of feel like maybe I'm back in the 1920s. Not that I was ever there. Maybe I was, but it's kind of got that like flavor profile that you think like when you're watching a 1920s show or early 1930s and you're like they're having a party, you know, at the Gatsby's or whatever. It's like that. This seems like maybe they'd be drinking that because they're all like, that tastes great. And everyone's drinking the same thing. The girls and the guys all drinking the same thing. They're all enjoying it equally. Yeah, it's not a man's drink. It's not a girl's drink. It's an everybody drink. I feel like this is an everybody drink.
This one is very interesting. It is this very much. I think the roller coaster analogy is a very good take for this whiskey.
Thank you.
It kind of starts, goes up and down. It has all these peaks and valleys and interesting notes. And it's one of those things where already roller coaster, you kind of have to go on the roller coaster. You have to try out the roller coaster. It's going to be a fun ride. I think for me, it has some things in its palate that feel like they're fighting for space. And I think that lends itself well to the kind of what we're all getting at, where you kind of have to try a bottle of this. Like you should have one. This is a really interesting whiskey to try. But it also, I think, leads to not being able to be a daily drinker because of how loud and clashy it is.
Mm-hmm. It bumps up against like other flavor palettes. It's loud shoulder jostling.
You can't go on a
Yeah.
roller coaster every day, man, unless you're 5 years
Yeah.
old or
Yeah.
14.
And so it's in an interesting spot because I also it's hard to rate this whiskey for me because on one hand I'm like, yeah, you got to try this whiskey. It's very interesting. The blends of cognac and Armagnac and the rye whiskey lead to this very complicated dance of flavors that is very unique in all the whiskeys that we've tried. It's stronger in the brandy flavors than something like the Angel's Envy or something like that that's finished in like sherry cognac barrels or brandy barrels. It has something more in a finishing product. But it doesn't quite have the depth of the bourbon rye flavors of a higher age rye or bourbon. So the rye part of it tastes young and harsh and clashy, and the brandy part of it tastes overly sweet and kind of like syrupy in a lot of ways. And then it has these harsh wood notes that kind of like pull everything together, and it leads to something that is super interesting. But I think it is more interesting than something that I personally enjoy. I don't know. It's hard to rate something where you're like, hey, you should go try this, but because it needs to be tried, but I don't really enjoy it too much.
You just had 2 people rate it, Eric. What are you talking about?
Yeah.
It's really easy. It's super easy. Do it critically. God.
You know
Figure
what?
it out.
I might have to change my mind. I forgot that this is basically made by the French, so it's like 2 out of 10.
Oh, God. Your wife is definitely part French. What are you doing?
She is not. Not at all.
25% French.
She is
so-
not actually.
She's not French?
No. She is half British trader and half Italian.
No shit.
That's what.
There it
that's
is.
Scott.
There it is. Okay, so she's willing to hide a body. Okay.
Yeah, I
Oh,
mean,
sorry,
you
I didn't
go
mean
far
British
enough
trader.
back
We
in
we
Europe and
we
you're
are the
Europe.
traders. She's
are the
half
traders.
British people that don't know what good tea is like, and half Italian people that really know what good food is, but don't trust their cars.
Interesting.
Pretty,
Okay.
but don't drive it.
I
Okay.
think I have to follow my rating system as it.
Thanks, Ash.
As I defined
PG,
it
very PG.
Initially,
What are we getting there?
which is 1, I'm not finishing the glass. 2,
Really?
I did no. I'm restating my rating system.
Okay. Okay.
Oh.
I'm not rating it yet.
Oh, okay. I thought you were gonna finish this
No,
glass. I was like, oh,
no,
come
no,
on.
No.
Okay.
1, I'm not finishing the glass is so bad. 2, I didn't like it, but I'll finish the glass. Like I'll drink it if it's in front of me. It's not life changing. 3 is I like it, but I'm probably not gonna buy a bottle type of deal. 4 through 6 are kind of like this range of different varying levels of good. I'll probably buy a bottle, depending on the situation type of thing. And this falls into a 3, I think, for me.
That's fair.
In the sense that I'm probably not going to buy a bottle of this, but it is good. And I do think it is a very interesting experience. I just don't know if it's the experience. It's one of those things where I truly think the roller coaster analogy does straight. That was a fun roller coaster, but I don't need to stand in line to ride it again.
I have a question. Did you guys ever like grape soda?
Yes. It gives that same vibe. Yeah.
A little bit, but it wasn't my go-to. Like
Yeah.
I was never dying for grape soda.
Yeah.
Okay.
Tasting tip for this whiskey: keep the liquid away from the base of your tongue. Base. The back area of your tongue, or back there. You want to make sure that you're keeping all the sweet tones at the very tip of your tongue, because let me tell you, I've been apparently tasting whiskey wrong this entire time, and apparently
It's supposed to touch all of your tongue
I know it's supposed to touch all of your
and
tongue.
all of your mouth.
I wouldn't
Even
let
your
it
nose.
sit. I wouldn't let it sit like in the back of your mouth.
However, if you gargle this whiskey, it gets a very distinct Fanta flavor.
Did you gargle it?
Yeah, that's
I didn't see. I didn't. Oh, okay.
I think by gargling he means like
No, 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 no.
Oh,
Put it
okay.
in
I
the
didn't.
back
You go.
of your throat, lift up, and you go.
he did
That's
not
what
do
I
that.
did.
No, he did.
No, I did.
I didn't hear
I'll
that.
just-
Said the liar.
Oh, here it goes. It's his last one too. Look. There it goes. I mean, you're a fucking liar now, Anthony.
I just
On the
need
internet.
no. I just need to send that to one of my brother-in-laws because he called me insane the other day, and now he needs to see that. ASMR.
It's a Ash, get out of here, you absolute degenerate. I want to see you gargle it like mouthwash.
It really does. Gargling it really brings out the great flavors for sure.
Wow.
I wish mine wasn't empty.
This podcast is just full of a bunch of garglers.
Hey, we got to get that ASMR money because those guys are making bank.
Yes, I mean, you right. Well, so you rated it a 3 out of 10.
3.
You would not put it on the show.
Yeah, I probably would pay like if I was gonna buy it, I'd probably pay like $40 for it.
Damn.
I do think that y'all nailed it though. It is 70, so right around
Figured.
the $70 to $80 price
Figured.
point. I do not think that at that, again, it's one of those that at that price range there are so many amazing whiskeys. It would be hard for me to put down $70-$80 for this one, just because of how saturated the amazing market is. At $80, some of my favorite whiskeys on the market, and
Exists.
so
Yeah.
to compete with that, you got to be pushing over Daily Driver, because
Otherwise,
for
it's
me,
not
at least,
happening.
you got to be in a great spot.
Yeah.
Otherwise, it's just hard to purchase at that price range.
Okay.
I would not daily drink this, and I think that's just due to how this whiskey is designed. It is very much a roller coaster ride where it is fun and you might enjoy it, but I don't think you could drink this one every day.
Dude.
It just isn't designed like that.
This
No.
guy on Reddit found this for $60 and he gave it a 9 out of 10. 12 upvotes.
He gave it a what?
He
A
gave this
9
whiskey
out
a
of
9 out
10.
of 10. He found it for $60 and he has 12 people that agree with him. And maybe more, because there could be people that disagree. And Reddit's bad and it doesn't say this many agree and this many disagree.
Is this a new clip where we check what would Reddit say?
This was an accident. This,
Oh,
this
okay,
was
so-
just me
okay,
looking
okay.
for it, and there happened to be like the first Google thing was like Reddit review. And I was like, oh well, okay.
Well, okay then.
So let's see what this.
I guess.
Is this going to have one upvote? No, 12 is a surprising
I
amount.
I do like how one of the reviews, the top comment is they just couldn't help themselves by pushing right up to the legal line on labeling. Pretty dang deceptive to front label straight whiskey right on the front.
Yep.
when
That's fair.
It is a blended whiskey.
Well, straight rye. It doesn't say straight whiskey, so straight rye whiskey,
Straight rye whiskey.
which has no
that's a-
regulations.
So he just should have known better.
The they get a little bit of brownie points though, because it costs $69 actually.
I was just on a random whiskey site.
This is on their website. Direct
Oh.
direct order. Directly from the
60 is
manufacturer. Yo, they have a 1996 bottle. Oh, we gotta get that.
Do we though?
Yes, I know people born in 1996, so back off. Though it's
Okay.
$184, so maybe
That's-
not.
Maybe not.
I think it's just an Armagnac.
It's just the brandy.
Uh-huh.
Okay. I mean, that's nice for people who like brandy.
That means it's probably way sweeter.
That's not what this podcast
It was
is
bottled
about,
in
though.
condom France. Never will we buy this.
It's got all the protection it needs.
It's 28
Shut
years old and it is still
up. You disgust me.
So guys, I just wanted to give an update. I made a big recommendation for Superman and Lois. Please don't watch past season 3, 3/4 of the way through season 3.
Oh, I watched the
Dude.
ending already.
Are you serious? You watched all of Superman and Lois?
Well, no, I didn't watch all of it. I just watched the ending that was like being advertised, and I was like, wow, they really went ham for this.
Oh, like an ad?
Yeah.
Yeah. When Lex Luthor shows up, leave. The last good villain is the really cool black dude. I can't remember his name. Fuck.
You got this.
But he is an amazing villain. Him and his wife. Lex Luthor, not believable at all. And then they also just like took all the money out of it. Apparently,
he did pretty good.
apparently DC does this thing where, oh, we're coming out with a movie, so cancel everything else because humans aren't smart enough to have two actors play the same superhero at the same time.
That's fair.
No, it's not.
Honestly.
It's stupid.
Honestly, it's fair.
Look, Marvel already did the hard work of helping people understand multiverse. Given that, people can see two different depictions of the same character at the same time.
Yeah.
It's okay. No one's gonna go, oh, the Superman movie's out, but it's not the guy that's on TV right now. Like,
I mean,
who is
I
that?
I wouldn't watch Superman unless it was Henry Cavill as well. So I mean, there's that.
He was so Henry Cavill was incredible, but this guy that played in Superman and
DC did
Lois
him
was really
dirty.
good. He was really good.
DC
Pretty
did
much
him
every
so dirty.
studio has done him dirty.
Yeah.
Well, you
It's
can't
like,
just
he's the
he's
nicest
just
guy,
too
too.
cool. He's just too good.
Yeah.
And then the actual fandom that he
That's
was
actually-
meant for came calling.
That's actually like a really big thing in Hollywood and in that area of things is there's so many egomaniacs there that
That are willing to do anything.
if you're too popular, they're just going to be like, actually, we don't want them anymore.
Yep.
Because
That's
they're
fair.
better than me, but they're not better than me. I'm better than everybody. Like it's
Henry Cavill gives me the fat kid that grew up and got ripped. I'm
Neville?
pretty sure
He's
that's
Neville?
I'm pretty sure he's actually that story. Like, I'm pretty sure canon-wise, he was like bigger as a kid, grew up, was really nerdy, and
Bruno.
then just got like super fit, and then got in. Like, I think he got the role of Superman, and then just like was like, no, I want to actually do this natural. I don't want to take roids. I want to see how far I take my body, and he like became a household name overnight.
dude, roids are such a
He
crazy
still
problem.
He still plays WoW regularly.
Yeah.
They found his character.
No, they
And-
didn't.
Yeah.
Oh
And
no.
They he still shows up at Warhammer events.
Oh,
Warhammer
yeah,
40K.
yeah, of course.
He's at them all the time playing Warhammer.
That's because
Nice.
he's dude. He is literally living canon of like what being a nerd who becomes famous should look like, in my opinion. Like
This is honestly
where your
like the
fandom.
whole-
Yeah.
one of the reasons I love True Blood as a show, because when I started watching True Blood, you started the people who were playing True Blood all started getting famous. All of them are like the biggest D&D nerds, and they own giant D&D companies now, and they play games, board games, do D&D. And I will say, what's her name? I can't remember her name off the top of my head. It's
Who'd she play
the,
in True Blood?
She played the redhead that what's his
Deborah
name
Ann
turned.
Wolf.
Yes. So
Yeah.
she actually did an interview with, I think it was
The guy who played the Punisher?
Who's the knight? Yes, the guy who played the Punisher.
God, I'm so
and
fucking good.
she-
Holy
she-
shit!
yes.
I called both like right off
know.
back to back. Let's go.
She does the best description
Of
what
D&D.
D&D
Yeah.
I've ever seen, and it was so perfect. And
She
it
got
is-
Josh Bernthal into it like immediately.
immediately.
Yeah.
Just very quickly, with very simple techniques, and I was like, this. She just
Masterful.
explained D&D better than anybody else trying to explain D&D.
It was like all over TikTok for like a bit whenever she did it, and like people were like, "Oh,
was so good.
that's the line for any DM who walks into a room and is like, well, what do you like to do for fun?" And I'm like, "Oh, I'm a DM." And like, "Oh, for like what?" And I was like, "I play D&D." And they're like, "Well, why do you do that?" Like, just literally read that script.
Yes,
And they will understand why you do it.
It's so good.
For sure.
And it does such a good job of explaining the wonder and mystery and adventure.
Cooperative
And she did it in,
storytelling, man.
2 minutes, man. It was
Cooperative storytelling.
Masterful.
I will say, because I love the hobby. I am in a game now, and I'm kind of realizing, I'm like, okay, there is a line. There is too deep. There is such a thing as too deep. Like, you could be like a fan of the content, you can like get really into like the source material and everything, and you could be a DM, you could like watch all the stuff, you could make it a large part of your hobby, but then like there's a step farther, and you shouldn't go that way.
It is something that is. It can be whatever you want it to be, and that can be too far, not far enough, or this perfect blend of a medium that is limitless in its capabilities.
Yeah, for sure. But all that to say, all hail Henry Cavill. I'm so glad that he got the 40K universe. I hope he plays the Emperor. I hope they do the heresy. Like, I really want to see Horus just completely. I don't know who they would get to play Horus, to be honest. Like, I don't have it off the top of my head. Like, part of me is like Vin Diesel. Just because of like Vin Diesel going from having hair to no hair.
Yeah, that'd be crazy.
Okay, I'm back. Oh god. All right, but yeah, all hail Henry Cavill. Moving on. What you been playing, Anthony?
Oh, you want me to go first? Cause I'm ready.
Yeah, I mean, let's get this.
Okay,
get this out
first
the way.
off,
Because boy, do I have some.
don't ick my yum gnat. Okay,
I'm not gonna yuck your yum.
You do
It's
every
yuck.
time. You
It's
do
yuck
every
your
time.
yum.
Don't
I can't help what my face does, Anthony.
don't yuck my yum. Okay, embrace it, taste it, eat
don't
it,
want to.
swallow it.
Oh my god.
I
In a little bit,
have
but
had the
let's
most fun playing video games that I've had in a very long time. Probably since we were on like the WoW classic but not classic train. What was that called? Seasons of Discovery.
Season Discovery.
Discovery.
I had the most fun in gaming since then. So, as I've probably talked about, Star Citizen has recently gained a new content creator, Hippo. Sea of Thieves pirate extraordinaire, very popular man, very awesome dude. Okay? And thanks to him, we now have so many Sea of Thieves pirate memers called the Star Memers in the game. And right now, I'm kind of jealous that I'm not playing with them. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 of these guys chilling in the voice chat, going ham, having a good old time. Okay? And they're probably doing this Save Stanton event that I recently discovered and helped them understand that if you complete the event, you get a reward that lasts forever. It's attached to your account, and it's like the best repeaters, which is a type of weapon on your ship that you can get. And with the next patch coming out, you're not even going to be able to buy really good repeaters that are like a step below it. You can only earn those and find those. And in this next patch, on top of that, the games now have Tarkov. They literally have Tarkov and raids. And it is so epic. And there's 500 people per server.
Wow.
And it's supposed to release possibly this week. If it doesn't release this week, it won't release for a while. But it is available for everybody that has access to the game right now, for, you know, bug testing and stuff like that, because there are some bugs. But we've had so much fun because for some reason, the game gave me some really big ships that I didn't buy. And one of them is a capital battleship. It's called the Polaris. It has like 7
cool
turrets. It's massive. And so a bunch of these guys hopped on last night, and we were working on the Save Stanton event so that they could also unlock that permanent reward. Because with 4.0, there's about to be a full wipe. So anything else you do doesn't really matter. But this is only something that can be finished before 4.0 releases. Otherwise, you don't get the reward.
Okay.
So we're working through that. There's like a mission where you show up and you have to protect these salvage haulers. There's this massive ship that salvages ships, and this works in game right now. You can multi-person crew this ship and rip the hull off of ships, turn it into very valuable assets, and go and sell it. That's currently a game loop that exists. So you go there, and those NPCs are being attacked by more NPCs, and waves and waves and waves show up to try to kill them. And it's like 30 something fighter ships at some point trying to kill it. And so we show up with this massive capital ship, and there's just gunfire everywhere. One of the guys gets in the hangar, gets in his ship that's in the hangar, takes off and starts fighting everybody. Eventually, you know, we win. Turtle is the guy who was flying about. He comes back. We've learned that Turtle can only kill him. He can't be killed except for by Turtle. Because he tries to land and doesn't succeed. So he explodes. But thankfully, we have a medical bay on board. So he respawns right there with us. And I let him know, he's a welcome permanent part of the crew now. He can't leave. He's stuck here. He now has to get in a turret. This was like the second time that he had done that he had died just by crashing into the ship. And it did no damage to the ship because it's that big and that strong, right? And so we had a great time with that. The other day, like sometime last week after work, Hitbo was doing another really cool thing. So there's an even bigger ship than this Polaris that you can't own right now, but it is constantly in the game for the Save Stanton event as phase 3, controlled by pirates, hundreds of pirates. So Hippo likes to go close by, like 20,000 meters away, hop on a little bike, go out the back of his ship, and approach on this bike where they don't detect him. He shoots open the hangar, gets on board, fights his way through hundreds of NPCs, kills the pilot, tells the ship to self-destruct, and gets out. You could just take over the ship and own and like use it with your friends and stuff. He just wants to blow it up. Well, something happened and he fell through the ship. One of those like weird bugs that happens. There's like a staircase where you should walk it, but if you run it, you might fall through in the middle. He fell through the middle.
Nice.
So I happened to be on and offering people medical assistance, and he's like, "Yes, please help." So I pick him up in the middle of space because he was trying to like swim through space to catch it, but he couldn't. It kept getting too far away. So I scoop him up in my medical little ship. He gets all healed up because he was dying from all the combat. And then he's like, "All right, I have an idea. Get me as close as you can, and I'm just going to jump for it." And so we do a flyby and get really, really close. We're getting lit up. He jumps out. He almost makes it. Not quite, but it was so epic. And there is no other game that you can experience this stuff in. And it's just so much fun. Like, I can't get enough of it. I was dreaming in Star Citizen all night. Like,
it transcended real life at that point.
it is so good. It is so much fun. Like, just the level of depth that it has right now. The servers have been insanely stable, and some of the patch releases for 4.0 have been really promising, where like it's just going to be better. Like the tick rate is really bad right now. It's like 10, Well, with 4.0, it's going to be at least 30 is what they've been seeing, which is like more than good enough for what it is right now, you know. And then someday it should be even better because they're going to have like 4 or 8 servers per like shard or whatever you call it. Eventually it's going to be as many servers as is needed dynamically based on the number of people in a given location to properly manage them and give them a really good experience. So that's like dynamic server meshing. Right now they have static server meshing. Eventually it'll be dynamic. Eventually you'll have multiple servers for one ship because you'll have so many people on that ship.
Cool. Yeah.
Yeah. But it's been great, you know, and I think y'all need to come and join me. Like, it's so good. It's so much fun. It's Sea of Thieves in space, but way better than Sea of Thieves will ever be. It's funny because Sea of Thieves is constantly getting worse, while Star Citizen is constantly getting better. Like, Sea of Thieves is getting more bugs, Star Citizen getting less.
Both sad and good at the same time.
It's crazy. Crazy. Nat, why don't you have any like love for Star Citizen? Because you played it and you were like, wow, this is really cool. Like, I could do this.
There was a moment. Yes, there was a moment.
I feel like you are still stuck in the propaganda.
I'm not a hater.
I think you're stuck with the propaganda because
clarify.
no, Hippo hated on this game for years, and he's been apologizing because he was like, I just read the memes. I thought it was a scam. I didn't know until I played it for an hour, and he was like, wow, no other game is trying to do this. No other game is actually pushing the bar, doing things that you've always wished you could do in a game. Everything else is just Call of Duty, the next Call of Duty, the next Call of Duty. They're all just repeating themselves. There's nothing new out there.
I think the problem for me is partially like the end goal is so far out, and the publishers themselves, the people who are making the game, have done nothing for me personally that tells me I should try out this game in its current state.
There are no publishers.
Whoever is making the game,
it's the only like crowd-funded game that is this like large that has ever existed. Yeah.
The crowdsourcing of this game is one very impressive. I will give you this. The fact that this project is now, I don't know, 10.
It's 12 years old, but that is a very interesting thing to me because being a software engineer, I know that is not a long time. As a consumer, for you, it sounds like an incredibly long time. To me, I'm like, no, that's how long. I mean, this is
a great game
still going to take longer because you are building New York City from scratch. You're not building a doghouse. Like, you're not building a house.
And Anthony, when I truly see that it is something other than an early access game at best.
Oh man, it's better than Sea of Thieves.
I know,
and that's a fully released game. It's just buggy, and if you can't deal with the bugs, that's fine. A lot of people can't.
About bugs,
but it's already a better game than most games that exist.
I'm talking about just in general. The game has done nothing for me to attract it to a continued experience. I will say, yes, it is very pretty. There are some features that you can have fun with, and if you have a community around you, you can have fun in that game, for sure. You can do the community thing with a lot of games.
Oh man, this game is great solo. It is so good solo. You do not need a community for it.
Anthony.
You don't.
Anthony,
you don't. You haven't
that.
Experienced it. You just don't know.
You
just
don't
know.
Where you're coming from. I get it.
No, you don't. If you got it, you'd be playing. If you got it, you'd be playing. I promise you.
Once you have to understand also that with the way that my brain works, you continuing to say, dude, you should really try this is literally the opposite of what you should be doing, because ADHD brain will hear what you have to say and be like, hey, you should do that.
Fine,
and
don't play. I never want to play with you ever
subconsciously
again.
drop a hole and be like, you should never play that game.
Oh my
You
God.
should never do that. You should never, like, I know
That's
that
not
people are telling you to
ADHD.
do
That's
that.
rebelliousness.
No, it's not. It's dude, it's totally ADHD.
That's rebelliousness. That's my brother said this, so I'm going to ignore him because I've heard him say so many things forever.
No, you have no idea. So I am not saying that there isn't a world like in the next, I don't know, another 10 years or however long that they take to go ahead and fully release the game. I don't give it a shot and I fall in love with it. But it's not today.
So I
And it's
think
not
there
this
is
year.
a misconception with a lot of games, because you're talking about the game being fully released and that's what's needed to have fun and for it to be a
No,
good
I'm not s-
game.
I'm
But
not saying
it
it like
reminds
that.
me
I don't
of
mean it
how
like that,
people
but
are
go
like,
ahead.
well, what's the end game? What is the end game? How long does it take me to get to the end game? And to me, that is a product of old games that weren't necessarily good in the like repeatability stance. This game is already has the infinite repeatability in it, and the end game is basically whatever you want. There are things you can do. If you like doing them, do them. If you don't, don't. And the player interaction that is there creates the infinite sandbox capabilities. The piracy stuff like that Sea of Thieves has, which is like the only thing it has going for it, like that creates a game, an end game immediately. Like right when you go into Sea of Thieves, even though it sucked when it first released 5 years ago, even though it sucked, if there were other players that had loot that they didn't want you to have, but you wanted it, infinite replayability, infinite end game, right? Star Citizen has that same quality that like no other game does. They do architected specific end games that it's an arcade game that you repeat either by yourself or with friends. I don't think games like that have an end game. I think you experience it and then you're done. You're not supposed to just
You're done
keep
with
on
your
doing
experience.
it. But games like Sea of Thieves and Star Citizen have a end game that is you can infinitely redo it. Kind of like Tarkov was doing.
Before they fucked it.
Yeah, but like Tarkov wasn't doing as good as Star Citizen. Like Tarkov is in Star Citizen as a 4.0. And on top of the Tarkov experience, you have actual more things that you can do. Like instead of a tiny little instanced base, like you have a whole world, not just
I hear you. I hear you, Anthony. I understand your passion for this game. I get it. I get it. As a whole, though, for me, there's not much for me to go ahead and latch on to. For me. Now, bear in mind, the games that I have played probably the most in the past 5 years
Destiny.
is Destiny.
Nat, that is why
And
you
I-
will
and I
love
stopped,
this
and
game.
I stopped. You know
Because
why?
it's not good, because
It's
it
not
doesn't
good.
do what Star Citizen does, and Star Citizen does
Anthony,
Destiny
let me
better.
finish. Anthony, let me finish. Let me finish. So, Destiny, Ghost of Tsushima, and God of War. Great games,
Yeah.
except for that first one, honestly. So, I don't know what the central theme of these are, because they're kind of varied, but they all have some semblance of mystique that I like, and I will actually play. I don't feel that from Star Citizen.
Nat, would you say
You haven't played it enough.
Before that, Nat, would you say that unguided experiences are less fun than more guided experiences in gaming? Like the fact that Ghost of Tsushima, oh my gosh,
Ghost of Tsushima.
and, I know, and Destiny and all of these things have a really not all of them are on rails in the same way, but they have these pockets of experiences that are very like, this is what you're going
The
to
storyline.
this is
and
the
this storyline. Yeah,
experience
yeah.
you're going to have. Here you go. Press this button and start that experience. That kind of helps guide you into the fun aspects. I wonder if the fact that in Star Citizen you have to
Find the
you're
fun.
not guided in that way. You have to find the fun a little bit more. I
Maybe.
wonder if that is
Well,
is a huge barrier to you.
I will
Maybe.
say, when I tried to introduce Nat, he had his old computer, and we were interrupted a lot, and we didn't even leave his planet.
Yeah.
So what?
And I'm a very capricious spirit. I do
What-
not deal well with.
what you need is a 4-hour play session. It's just like watching the first 2 episodes of an anime, where I mean, it can be done in 2 hours. It can be done in 2 hours, but for you 4, because of how often you get up and go away.
I honestly think it could help Star Citizen so much for some players to have an intro.
They have a tutorial.
Not a tutorial.
Not a tutorial.
I'm not talking a tutorial. I am
intro.
talking an intro.
Yeah.
Something that catches you and drives you into the different, just gives you little teasers of different aspects
I'm
of
sorry.
the fun.
Have y'all watched the Squadron 42 gameplay?
heard of it,
42
yeah.
might be it.
No,
Like,
no,
that
you
has
gotta
some of
watch
aspect
that.
to it.
No.
Like, they play the game and show you the first like hour of that single player game.
Yeah. I've seen a little bit of it, but yeah, that still doesn't like.
No,
that
they
is
don't have
cool.
it
That's
in
just
Star
separate
Citizen, of
from,
course, but like that's not
Yeah.
something that they can do right now because it would be a waste of time. But what
Yeah.
they do have is the Sherpa system where people volunteer to introduce new players to the game. And so you go and you ask for a Sherpa, and immediately someone is assigned to you. And that's the best way right now because of the bugs too. Like someone introduces you to the complexity of the game and they tell you what not to do so you don't have a bad time and stuff like that.
Yeah.
See, look.
There's way less stuff to run
think
into.
That
Look.
whole idea is unfortunately exactly what is pushing Nat off of it.
There's another thing. Okay. And this is purely like I'm finding it as I'm going through like the list of things that really like kind of make my eyes go wide, and I'm like, yeah, that's good. There's not enough sparkly.
What do you mean?
There's not enough sparkly bits for like I don't look badass just like
Hold on.
like off rip. You know what I mean?
There
Like
are
I've
definitely not enough loot options in Star.
it's not and the thing is it's not it's the thing is it's also it's not even just
That's
loot.
100% true. All
not
of the
true,
little reskins
actually.
and stuff.
Like,
Everything
it's
is
like-
in the game. You can go and find it.
because
Look
no
at the armor pictures,
Yeah.
though.
Because like think about
They're
this
not
also.
good enough.
I put you know how
Nope,
much
you're
time
wrong.
I put into you know how much time I put into Warframe?
Guys,
From
I need
style
you to
points
accept
alone.
that y'all don't play the game, so you don't know anything about what's in it.
That's fine, Anthony.
There
but
is
look,
so much
I'm
in
so-
it that you don't
I'm
know about.
I'm talking to my experience and what I saw while I was there. There was nothing that I saw as I was going through the game that made me aspire for more for myself.
Because you didn't play it.
I did.
No, you did
in the time
not.
in the time that I was there as a beginner,
Nat.
being walked through by a person who likes it. I'm going to assume that's what we
Nat,
did, right?
we did less than 1% of what I had planned for you.
Anthony,
Because you were
that's-
sitting down at your desk
that's
for
cool.
approximately 5 minutes.
Anthony, that's super cool, and you're absolutely right. However, in the time that I have engaged with your game as an intro, for me personally, you're gonna have to go ahead and serve me with some sauce off rip.
What do you mean? Like, get into some cool action right away? Yeah, we can do that.
No. It doesn't even have to be cool action. It doesn't have to be cool. It doesn't have to be like
No,
I
like-
don't have to engage in the coolness. You know what I mean? I need to off rip be like, I want to see the continuation of this. if I'm just sitting in a world and it's like, hey, you can do anything here.
That's not what it is, though. That's what I'm trying to say. Because we didn't even
I
get
know,
to the
Anthony,
things that
I
you can
know.
do that
Listen
the
to what
game
I'm trying to
provides
say.
for you.
Listen to what I'm trying to tell you.
I
Okay.
hear you.
Okay, cool. Let me go ahead and finish. If I'm sitting in a world where you can do all the things that Star Citizen allows you to do, and I plop into your world, right? And I don't feel an inclination to do any of those individually on my own. And even if I have a guide, I have somebody who's extremely passionate about the game. In the first 5 minutes, because you told me I was up and down for 5 minutes. If there's no glue for me to stay in that seat, that is either a preference issue with me, or that is an engagement issue with the game.
I think an analogy I have is
Yes.
that my experience with trying to show you the game was that we went to a theme park, we walked through the front door, we were surrounded by all of those annoying shops that they put at the beginning, and then we left.
I don't agree with that analogy, though.
Because that's what happened. You didn't see any of the rides. You didn't go on any of the rides. You experienced zero part of the fun. You just walked through the door.
Anthony, I
and
walked
left.
through the door. Anthony,
And we were supposed to play again because of that.
Anthony, walking in through the door implies that you walked up to the theme park and saw the roller coaster in the distance. We're like, oh, I want to ride that.
Dude, no, I've walked through a lot of
Yes,
theme parks,
that
and you don't just
analogy
see the
works.
roller coaster necessarily. Some of them you do, some of them you don't. Okay, I went to Epcot. You don't see the freaking roller coaster. I went
That's different.
I went to
That's different.
what the main Disney World. Like
That's fair.
there's no rides that you see that are epic. You just see shops all around you. But guess what? There are rides that are epic if you just go a little deeper.
Ash is so right.
What'd she say? Nat's ADHD is refusing to play the game. Anthony wants him to play. Anthony's ADHD is refusing to accept that Nat is not playing the game. Because I know that if he would have gone on one ride, he would have been like, whoa! But he didn't go on a ride. And he was on his bad PC. And it was a bad timing. It was my fault. It was bad timing. When 4.0 comes out, it'll be good timing.
So what I'm hearing is, because you're right, it is bad
I
timing.
fucked up.
And what I'm hearing is, you get one chance with me,
Uninterrupted,
Interesting
at least
game.
2 hours, maybe 4.
But you didn't establish these rules before you introduced
I was
the
young
game.
and dumb.
We were all young and foolish.
So stupid. I was just a baby.
Just a wee lad.
Didn't even have a beard.
Whiskerless pop.
All right, what games have y'all been playing? I'm sorry for taking up so much time. I did send y'all a picture. I was trying to find more, just so you know, in our Discord for some armor. It's not my. It's a pack. I have like another armor set that I just love that I just got, but I was just trying to show y'all like an example of some
up.
flashiness.
Interesting.
That's not the one that I got. I got one that was even cooler that I saw people walking around with.
There's also another factor that I just played into my head about all of the games that I listed, like of the 3 that I played like almost religiously.
Yeah.
There's an option to have a sword in all of them.
You know,
I'm like, I'm like 100% positive that unguided experiences in that just do not
Didn't like Valheim.
together.
Didn't
in
like.
Yeah.
Didn't like Tarkov.
I'm sorry, but there is an alien
Honestly-
sword/spear weapon in Star Citizen
Okay.
from the Vanduul.
Okay.
And the alien
But yeah,
ships
I
are fucking
think
incredible.
that unfortunately Star Citizen is fighting a uphill battle with that.
For sure. You know what game I would
Just
play
the way
though?
It was designed.
You know what I would play if it was styled like Star Citizen? I would play a Cosmere themed version of Star Citizen.
Oh my goodness.
Could you imagine?
But here's the problem. Well, here's the thing. That is no longer an unguided experience for you.
Exactly.
In the amount of lore that it has built into into your soul.
Yeah, I know
It
too
becomes
much.
a guided experience.
I will
too
say
much.
though
So, like-
that if I was in Nat's shoes, I also would not get into it. Star Citizen snuck up on me because of a content creator that is an architect in like Taiwan. He does these videos called an architect reviews, and he goes and tours ships and talks about their design and what is good and what is bad. And for a very long time, over a course of 6 months of being served these from YouTube, I was like, well, this is really cool concept art. This is really cool, like cinematic concept stuff. And then one day I learned that that was in game, that he was doing all of that and all the interactability stuff and the level of detail and just the insane amount of passion that the artists and the devs must have to actually implement little things. Like, we are so numb from how bad games are, where we walk up to a door and we're like, can I open that? No.
I don't
Can I
think
touch
it's a
that? No.
numbness
And
case
every little thing
for
in
me.
this game, if it's a button, you can push it. If
I
it's
get
an
that.
item, you can
I
pick
get
it up,
that.
like in Skyrim and
Yes.
stuff like that. And it's like, wow, they've done that. And when I realized that, I went to a free fly event. It was enough that I was like, I'll try this game out for free and I'll see how it goes. And I followed a guide. I followed like a new player guide, without which never would have made it past a couple of minutes, maybe. And then I was like, holy shit, you can't do this anywhere else. There's no other game that does this.
Star Citizen have a skill tree.
No, your ships have different like upgradability paths and stuff. And I can't remember. I think they
Another thing I noticed about the games that I like, skill tree.
Star Citizen skill
Again,
tree.
another thing that guides you into progression.
But I
Yes.
also
That
feel
is-
like that
that
adds
is-
like a layer.
Every-
If you're like talking about Path of Exile kind of vibe, where like the skill tree doesn't exactly guide it, but gives you a perspective as to where you can go.
But it's like it's I'm trying to think.
I'm
of a
agreeing,
good
Eric.
analogy.
I'm agreeing.
it.
I'm just
I-
saying
I
it's
know,
also
I
like
know.
almost like a map.
Yes.
You're going to have a passive skill tree system behind the scenes. Sounds like Valheim. Like, oh, your running has gotten better and stuff. Is my guess.
Go ahead, Eric. What were you saying?
I think the it's just an interesting thing, and I think I think Anthony, like, you have this wonderful ability to see the effort being put in, and that in of itself gives you this enjoyment factor that is a level above what others may experience while playing the game.
What blows my mind is
I-
that people that don't have my like software background have the same reactions that I do, but they
Yeah.
they're
That
harsher
makes
on the
sense.
game than I am though, because they'll complain about things and
They
I'll
have
be
more
like, well,
perspective.
I understand why that's.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I would argue that it's not the fact that Anthony has a gift of seeing the work, and that kind of defines his passion for it. But I think it's that he is blessed with the fact that he is actually able to enjoy this game as its current state. Like,
Yeah.
you like the
computer is
things
good
that this
enough.
your computer is good enough. You came in at the right time.
I
You were
did,
able to
because
go
there
ahead and
are
get
bad
past
times to come in at it. Like,
Yeah,
I've played it in really bad times and been like, I don't want to play this right now.
yeah.
But luckily, they've gotten in so much better. Like, it's so funny watching all these new guys come in and run into little bugs. And I'm like, you young whippersnappers don't even know. Like, you didn't have to live through getting squished by an invisible elevator that just killed
Sick.
you. Like,
Sick.
that's not a thing anymore. You're like,
You're welcome.
y'all had, it used to be really bad. It's not bad anymore. it's
Eric,
getting good.
What you been playing, dog?
So man, I've had a bunch, obviously, because I played a bunch of stuff on the plane. I've tried out a bunch of stuff, but today marks the beginning of
The rest of his life.
interesting time. So when I got back from India, I found out a few interesting things. One of them being that a new game just went into early access
Cud.
recently. And I was like, do I continue down this path after the trials and tribulations that have befallen me up to this point in a journey that is over a decade old at this point? And that is this past week, Pantheon, Rise of the Fallen went into early access.
I thought they dropped that game.
No, they did not drop it. There was many a trial, many a tribulation. And honestly, I was like, there are so many decisions and things that have happened, especially in the past year, that have made me question the future of this game. And to an extent, I still question the future of this game. But with a heavy heart and a slightly heavier pocketbook, I decided to make the purchase of this early access game and try it out for myself, because the reviews on it were looking fairly positive. We had a mostly positive review on an EQ game that is nothing like anybody would normally like, where the only negative comments are against things that I've known were going to be the fact of this game for over a decade now, because their opening paper said, oh, we're not having a map for this game.
It's only $40.
Yeah. It's
You made
only
it sound
$40.
like it was one of those like $500 early access games.
Millions of dollars.
No. So it's only $40.
Eric,
Which is better
you
than it's
have
ever been.
inherited Kirk's ability to make people think something costs way more than it does, just by the way you speak.
So, some would say $1 whole trillion.
$1 billion. So I have started, because here's the thing. This is a game that I wanted to succeed more than almost any other game, because I don't think there has been an experience to date that has matched the experience of the original EverQuest. And there's a lot of reasons for that, and some of them aren't even game related, and almost have to do with a societal shift from the late 90s, early 2000s. And so I don't know that it will ever be matched fully. And so it is very interesting. But because of my nostalgia and a lot of these things, I do love this slower style of pacing with this hardcore MMO kind of grindy style of games, which is what this is. This game is not for everybody. It's not even, to some degree, I would argue there are a lot of people that shouldn't even pick up this game or try it. It's for everybody. Yes, Anthony?
I only have one question. If
Okay.
can you steal stuff from people?
No.
Okay.
Well.
And so this is a slow, very social experience where a lot of the things in the game are going to be very difficult, if not impossible, unless you get together with people and conquer different challenges. The combat is very slow. It's very methodical. One mistake in combat will get everybody killed. Then you all have to run your corpse back. It has corpse running, which a lot of people do not like. It doesn't have maps, which means you need to map out the world yourself and remember where things are and remember where you are. And if you die, you need to remember where your corpse is.
Ooh.
And that is part of the experience of the game, if not a large part of it. And so it really does. It's a different type of experience than what most games are today. Now, with all that said, they released this game and I started playing the early access and I was like, man, a lot of this feels very, very good. And my main concern isn't where the path that this game is on, nor has it ever really been. It really comes down to the same thing it always has, and it's summed up by the last sentence in their early access statement,
Which
where
is
they say, we're hoping for a V1 soon, but it'll be a couple of years. And they, after playing it, even then, even though I love the path that this game a little bit I've played, it still needs more
Eric,
time.
how have they iterated on the core idea that is an old school MMO? What is different? What is new?
So the thing that I think defines this game and makes it different from every other one is that they have a system in this game which is kind of like an experience system, in the sense that it if you start seeing things in the world and unlocking different languages, different parts of the world, when you get close to them, you may find old ruins or old things, and it'll give you like quests, but they're unguided kind of general knowledge quests, in the sense that you'll find these pieces in the world and you'll unlock different pieces of it, and that will give you knowledge about the world that will help you find the next step and the next step, and that gets you experience and skills and special items and unlockables and things like that that progress you through.
It sounds
this
like an
MMO.
exploration game.
Very much so. Actually, I would argue, before anything else, this game is really trying to be an exploration MMO more so than a new age questing MMO.
So
The
I
quests
think
in this game are more exploration based than anything else.
I think exploration is a very interesting game mechanic that does not exist in any game.
Agreed.
And
Agreed.
it's a game mechanic that, like, sorry, but in Star Citizen, I have bought ships that are exploration ships because there eventually will be places with no mapping, like you're talking about. But, and I'm surprised that they're not doing this in Pantheon. You go and you map it out and sell the map data to people. I'm surprised you're not having cartography in this MMO, where someone discovers a place, maps it out, and can sell you potentially false map data and potentially lead you to a trap or something like that.
I think the only reason they haven't done that here is because in Star Citizen, the scope is so much larger. You have this large universe that mapping individual planets, like that might, because of the scope of the universe, it might never actually get mapped correctly and put online. You might actually have to find that map in game. But because of Pantheon's size being much, much smaller than that and more traditional MMO size, somebody's going to map it within the first day of the game coming out, and you're going to have a map online. And so what they really wanted to do was they wanted to obscure the map from you so that you have to do a little bit more effort put into it, but they won't really be able to hide that. And there's no reason to put design mechanics around it inside of the game, because again, the minute this game comes out with a new area, it's going to be mapped within the hour, and somebody's going to have a map online that's interactive and has all the MMO points and everything's data mined in it. Like that's just the reality of the MMO space. They just didn't want you to have easy access to it in the game, so that you have to be like, oh, I was like next to this tree on the map that was in this area.
It's an immersion
that's probably
tactic.
That tree. Yeah, it's trying to just really, when you're in the game, you have to take the extra level of thinking about the game to always be like, this is where I am.
You have to place yourself in the
that's
world.
their goal. Yeah. Rather than it being big enough to where, oh, I got to actually put effort into mapping this out myself. because I just don't think they're going to realistically have enough space for that to be
A thing.
a realistic expectation, unfortunately. Not that that wouldn't be cool as shit, just that the scope of this game will be so much smaller than Star Citizen that I just don't think that's a reality.
Okay.
But the little bit that I've played is really exciting. I really hope it keeps going, but I am still tentative, and I look at it on both sides of the coin. Is a lot not to like. This game isn't for everybody. This game has been in development for over 10 years, and this is the state that they're at. And even me, who understands a lot of the development of this, can see how the differing visions at the company have caused slowdowns or diversions that have extended the development of this game far past what it should have been. And they need to pick up the pace and release like more and more of this if they want this to do anything. And right now, this is still a relatively minor game, although I think it always will be. I think it's sitting at like 2,000 active players right now. And it doesn't need a lot of players really, because EverQuest still runs today off of way less than 2,000 active players. But I really would love to see 10,000, 15,000 active players a day. And in its current state, I don't think that's possible.
Fair.
So,
Yeah. You know, when you go
It's
to
one of those
Visionary
things.
Realms website, little cringe.
Ooh.
yeah.
You go to look at the
their
team,
site.
it's 3 people.
Eesh.
And it's a CEO that has been a CEO in other places, and a
Oh no.
CFO that has 25 years of financial experience, and creative and programming producer sounding like the guy that maybe is actually in charge. He's as creative as they come.
He's as creative as they
And
come.
he plays a fundamental role in the development and vision of the games. And those are the only
So,
people that
for
exist
better or for
here.
worse. Yeah.
Oh, and investors,
So, for
we're
better or for
privately
worse?
funded, but we're open to considering letting you help
I mean,
us.
we're open to it, I guess.
That's a-
And
It's
there are a
little
lot
weird.
of weird things there too, because so the company has been in a weird space, unfortunately, ever since Brad McQuaid's passing. He ended up passing away in 2019. Brad McQuaid was the guy who essentially solo designed the original EverQuest back in the day. He worked on MMOs before and after that, and he really is the visionary of visionary.
Who is?
And after Brad McQuaid, and after he passed away,
Oh, he passed
that is when most of the problems that I saw in Pantheon started to happen. And I do think that after that, there was a division of ideas, and that resulted in longer development times and more like juggling ideas and stuff like that. I am hoping that they can kind of pick up the pieces, settle on their vision, and keep developing, because honestly, after playing the game, it is what they promised in a lot of ways. It's on the right track. It's just, it still feels early. And there's a lot there. They have fully developed classes. You can level up the maximum level for a lot of those classes already. They have fully fleshed out spells and features. The questing system is there. That system that I was talking about of like the world kind of unlocking secrets as you do different things is already in. You can experience that. There's a
So-
lot of cool stuff. It just needs
I have a hot
flesh
take.
out the ideas.
I have a hot
Yeah.
take. I think in modern game development, if your game, if your game hits early access, so not necessarily hits early access, if your game is released and it's like a game as a service, like Sea of Thieves, or it's early access, like Pantheon / in development, or, you know, of course, Star Citizen, if your development team is not publishing constant weekly updates that are candid. They're just like straight up, we're talking about what we can talk about. We're talking about the game. We're involving the community. If they're not doing that, you have some egomaniacs in charge that are trying to make their game not our game. And the thing is, when you make any form of art that is big, like really big, like a movie, like Star Wars, the guys and girls that designed the sets, that did the miniatures, they put fan fiction into the tiny little details and tiny little art that they did. Okay, so it's not just one guy, it's not one writer, it's not one person's grand idea. When you have a situation like that, where someone's in charge, you've got an egomaniac at the helm, and they can't relax, they can't share, it's all about them. And they're destined to fail because you succeed together, not by yourself. And so, like, Sea of Thieves as an example, anytime they try to do it, they try to have these weekly updates and stuff like that. It's so bad. It's so obviously scripted. It is. They're trying to do the right thing, but you can still tell that there's some serious egos there, especially given the fact that they have a test realm that has an NDA that is private, which makes no sense for the health of the development of a game. It's just odd, you know? And then you have, on the other side of things, you have Star Citizen, where you're interviewing random devs that are literally the engineers, and they're just talking. They're just being asked questions. There's no way it's scripted. I mean, there'll be like a scripted joke every now and then, sure, but it's like, oh, I can't talk about that. Oh, there's this, and this, you know? And it's like, if you're not doing that, then I feel like it's like if you're writing a book, if you're Brandon Sanderson and you're writing a book, yes, that should be kept secret because he is the only one writing that book. And I'm sure there's a team of people helping him that without them, it wouldn't exist. But it is so much smaller of a thing when you think about it, right? When you're making a movie, when you're making a video game, there are so many people that just because you might have had an idea doesn't mean it is yours. It is everybody around you's. Like, you might be doing most of the work. You might be spearheading things, but you can't take credit for everything because without all of the people and all the ideas that they have and all of the everything, it just doesn't exist. And it's free publicity. It's brainstorming, you know, it brings in funding for the game. It's something that game devs should be doing. I mean, Pirate Software does it. He's freaking making his game live. Mm-hmm. You know?
Yeah.
Completely public about it, completely open about every little thing. There's no hiding anything.
There's not a lot of people who understand the current market for like really sourcing out and like keeping people up to date about your game, like that kind of mindset. Not very popular.
Hey, but there is one which just so happens to be my second game of the week.
Mm-hmm.
Which is, I finally got to log into Path of Exile 2.
He did it!
Oh my gosh. It is such a hearkening back to the things that made Diablo 2 so visceral. And
I heard it's slower.
And it is slower, but at
Which
the
is,
same
like,
time,
in a good way.
It's meatier, right?
Yeah.
Like you hit some, and the redoing of the melee, the melee rewrite that they did, like makes it just hit, man. Like you hit something with a club and it's like, and you're like, oh, it's nice.
Yeah.
And so I started my mercenary because I wanted to try out the crossbows, but we all know like crossbows. No, they're fucking guns.
What are you doing, dude?
They're guns. You shoot that crossbow and it like shoots fire out in a cone, and the sound effects make the screen shake, and everything just gets obliterated in front of you, and you're like, oh,
He fucks with this.
so good.
He fucks
so
with this.
good, so good. The story so far is dark, gritty, and mysterious. I haven't gotten to any of the big reveals yet, I don't think, so I don't have too much. You know, I'm still in like Act 1. So you're still like doing the small things, but I do like some of the build up that they have going on. The boss fights are so much more on edge, I feel. Or even the early ones are really well designed. It is much easier to take damage and die. Like it is much harsher on the combat, I think, for the better. But obviously, I have seen mixed reviews because they have the global chat and Path of Exile in general, and the global chat seems to be split into Diablo 4 crowd and the Diablo 2 crowd. And I think coming from a game like Diablo 4 is really, there's a stark contrast because of how different they feel. Path of Exile 2 is not Path of Exile 1 either. You can go and play Path of Exile 1, and Path of Exile 1 has some of the speed back to it. It has some of those one button press ideologies. But when they designed Path of Exile 2, one of the core things that they said is that the game is not meant to be a one button presser anymore. You're not able to get through the game easily if you just stick to one ability and just spam it through the game. But Path of Exile 1 still has that one button spam type of thing going on. And that's okay, and people love that, and that's fine. But then you go try to play Path of Exile 2, and you're like, I'm trying to make my cool ability that I love be the thing that I press, and it's not working. And that causes a lot of friction because you have to switch your mindset a little bit. But I do have to say the design on the gems is so much better. It's so much more intuitive and easy to use. It makes life so much easier to deal with support gems. And now you don't have to go like find abilities. They have them treed out. So you get generic support gems, and you can double click on that gem and then unlock any ability of level 1. And you don't even have to be able to use ability based on your stats yet. You can turn that gem into any ability that you want, which opens up so many possibilities for builds and ideas. Because before, if you were a new player, you might not know an ability exists until you find it way, way later than you could have found it. Now, once you unlock your first skill gem, you get to see, oh, these are my level 1 abilities that I could have access to. Oh, I can't do this one because I need intelligence level 15. If I had 15 intelligence, I could do that. But I want to play crossbow. Wait a second. If I got 15 intelligence, could I combine these two abilities in a cool way, right? Which opens up the ability to kind of conceive ideas about builds that I felt was such a wall in Path of Exile 1.
You can forecast your builds.
Yeah. The skill tree is simplified a lot, and one of the ways that they did that is that the in-between skills allow you to just choose whatever attribute you want instead of having to worry about, oh, I need to go down this intelligence route. Now you can it's pretty straightforward. You can visually see where the big points on the tree are, and you just work your way to it in whatever shape or fashion you want. And on the way there, you can get whatever attributes you want. You get to choose that, which is really nice. Whereas previously, that wasn't the case, which kind of limited your pathing options and made it a little bit more difficult to see where you should be going. But
So, this is a 6-player co-op.
it is.
It has couch co-op.
It does.
So far in the questionnaire, no one is against playing video games. No one's like, no, definitely not.
Yeah.
My wife will not play Path of Exile.
You don't know that because her
I
and Bon
do know
V
that.
could be playing on the same screen.
I can guarantee you she will not want to play Path of Exile 2. I can 100% guarantee that.
I
will
mean,
show her-
she
I'll
wants
show her
to.
a trailer right now.
She wants. No, do not. This has to be a surprise. I'm not saying it's gonna happen. I'm not saying it's gonna happen. I'm just saying your wife is more interested in playing video games than Bon V.
That's fair. She likes Overcooked and like moving out and stuff like that. Yeah.
And-
yeah.
She's not talking about our video games, dude.
I'm sorry, Bon V, if you're listening. It looks like there's not going to be a wig party. Just sorry.
Yeah.
I told her nobody wants to wear wigs.
I don't want to pack
I think
a
she's
wig.
the only one.
Nobody wants to wear wigs.
Hot girl POE with spice drinks and still. Oh no.
Guys, yeah, seriously, time out. You two have no what's the word? Authority when it comes to your wives and getting them to play a game. We have one resource, and her name is Ash, and it is up to her.
That's who I ain't
Fancy
even
drinks and
tripping.
silly outfits. Oh,
I ain't even trying. Ash has to do all the convincing for B, and B will do whatever Ash wants. It's very simple.
Well, I mean, the thing is, Ash has a perspective that we don't, and so if she goes and plays PoE 2 a little bit, she'll be like, yes or no. Like, you know, she'll be like, this could work or this won't work.
okay.
I
But
will say Diablo 4 was B's favorite game to play so far.
Okay.
So Path of Exile would be, I think B would try and enjoy Path of Exile 2 actually. So
Yeah, I just been wondering if there's like a 6-player couch co-op that we could all just have one night on the couch goofing around with it. This might be an option because, you know, Overcooked is a little too intense and it's only 4 players.
Yeah, if people switch off. Because some people get burnt out faster.
Yeah,
It's
people
really
can switch
usually-
off and stuff. Yeah.
I am. But I understand what you're saying. I get what you're saying.
We shall
6
see.
but yeah, outside of that, I've been doing those 2 games and kind of going back and forth. And then, of course, Factorio. I'm more Factorio. I'm getting closer and closer to getting to space, but still so far away.
When you get to space, is there just so much more to do, or are you done?
There are entirely other planets to go and get
Dude,
resources.
I'm
and
so sorry,
colonize,
but, like,
essentially.
There are so many people that want that experience, like free to play option in Star Citizen. You start on the ground. you don't get a spaceship. You haven't earned that yet. Like, you have to make your way out.
In Factorio, you have to play for like 80 to 120 hours before you can even begin building your first spaceship.
Yeah, that sounds pretty awesome.
I'm gonna say it right now. Factorio is the best factory sim game on the market that I have seen. And if you like that, like, it is a very particular, specific set of synapses that it fires. But if you like that style of game, Factorio is addictive and amazing and well worth trying. But it is very quick to know whether you like that style of game. You know, like if you play Factorio for 2 hours, you're either hooked and you're gonna play
Did
it
you
for hundreds
have
of
a-
hours, or you're not.
Did you have a chance to tell Kirk that it's Steam Deckable?
Yeah, we've talked about it a ton.
Is he interested, or
So he thought
is he still just like, no?
So he thought about it actually for a long time. His
Okay.
problem came down to he isn't in a scenario where he would play Factorio during those other times. So like he's usually driving, so he's not traveling and doing it. If he's flying somewhere, he now flies himself there, or he's flying really far, and that doesn't happen very often anymore. So when he's flying himself, and
Did-
he can't play and fly. And
Was he wasn't the one that brought up the Steam Deck?
No, I don't think so.
Oh, okay. For some reason, I thought
think-
he did.
I think when it was me, you, and him, I brought it up, and he was like, "Oh, I thought about getting one."
Oh,
But yeah, he really and so the times when he's playing Factorio, or when he would play Factorio, he's playing it on a giant
Yeah.
8K
Huge screen.
80-inch screen in his, in a flight sim
Cockpit.
cockpit seat. It's like super comfortable. It's like a $4,000 chair, know. So like he's playing it in the best way that he would play it.
I
and that's when he plays.
I think he's waiting for this. I think once Star Citizen has the full-on like Star Trek situation, he wants to play.
Yeah.
You got
He just
engineering,
wants
you've got all
yeah.
of the co-pilots, you've got the command pilot, you've got the turret people, like you just got everything that needs to be manned. That's what he's waiting for.
Yeah, he's just waiting for the more of the ship integration stuff.
Yeah.
Because that's what he cares about. He doesn't care. He doesn't care about stealing stuff. He doesn't care about any of that. He wants to
Star Trek.
go on missions, do Star Trek. Yeah.
He wants to do.
I want that too. I want that too.
Yeah.
That's why like every time I buy something, it's exploration. Exploration oriented.
Makes sense.
It's cool stuff. But yeah, Path of Exile seems cool. Is it simpler?
Yeah. I'm just by the nature of how the combat was designed and how the systems are now. It is streamlined. I should say that it doesn't make it simpler. It streamlines the user experience.
Beginning of simpler. The beginning simpler.
Yes.
Because like
It
in Path of
also
Exile
makes it
1,
so-
those freaking runes or whatever, the things were
Yeah.
immediately complex. They were not
They were not
dummied down
easy.
at all.
It is far easy. So when you first start the game now, you open up your skill tree and you only have 2 paths that you can go, and you can't branch off from those 2 paths for a while. So like your talent tree is like, oh, I'm going this way or that way. And both those ways do very different things a little bit. So you can just look a little bit farther and see, oh, I want that one or that one. And then when you're dealing with your abilities, like I said, you get a generic skill gem. And then when you click on it, you get to pick base skills. And then after some time, you might get a support gem. You click on that support gem and it'll be like, here's the skill gems you have. These are the support gems that work for those. And you can choose from, 3 out of each of them. And this was all stuff that was true in the base game too. It just didn't tell you that information. You had to like manually figure it out and connect them. Now you don't have to manually figure it out and connect them. It's just like, hey, you got fireball. Now you have teleport. And now you got a skill gem. Double click your skill gem. It's like, oh, fireball has these 3 support items for the level 1 skill gem you have. And teleport has these 3 support gems. How do you want to change your fireball? Or do you want to change your teleport?
Yeah.
And
Makes sense.
before, you would actually drop like lightning support gem number 3. And you'd be like, that doesn't help my fireball. What do I use this for? And then finally you'd find fire support level 5 and you'd be like, oh, I can just hook that up to my fireball now in the piece of armor. And then you'd be like, wait a second, it isn't doing anything. Oh, you got to have level 2 and level 3 and level 4 hooked into it before I can use level 5. And that's obviously not a totally accurate example from the game, but those are the types of things that existed before that they have just taken out now. And it's like, oh, you got a support gym level 2 and it can go on to these ones and it highlights all the stuff and says, pick from these 3 options for all of your skills. And you can read through them and just click on it and then you're done, by the way. And you can change those out at any point. So if you get a new support gym, you can get some of the other supports that you didn't choose previously. So you're never locked fully out of a decision either. You just have to find a new support gem, which they drop very often. These are things that drop off of every rare mob. You'll get a new one. So it's not like some uncommon thing that you're like, oh, I better not use my support gem. No, it's like use it. You're gonna get plenty of them after killing some more monsters out in the wilderness.
You know
Part of building.
how we were talking about those epic books that Nerdforge made earlier?
Yeah.
I feel like for video games, the ultimate like evolution of them would be like Path of Exile has reached a point where they're able to release an exclusive arcade arcade cabinet, just Path of Exile. And then a game like a racing game or like Star Citizen, they release a cockpit. Like you can buy the cockpit.
The experience.
You can just buy, what is like the ultimate experience eventually. Like, oh yeah, sure, 1.0 came out or whatever, but it's like, no. Like, however many years it takes them, like, ultimately, buy this, you will experience the best of this game ever.
The fully curated. Yeah.
You know, like I would love to read Brandon Sanderson's books like that, right? Like, same sort of thing. Nat, what have you been playing?
Shit, I wasn't ready.
Gotcha. We can talk.
So-
We can keep talking about cockpits and arcade cabinets. What other game types, ultimate things are there?
No, I got you. So, I haven't really been able to play anything, but I did get on a game with a friend recently that is under a lot of flack, and honestly, I'm not sure if I can continue to support playing the game because it's Helldivers 2.
Yeah.
That's unfortunate.
And I also realized that the extenuating circumstances that causes Helldivers 2 to become such a hot topic has also extended itself to other big Sony titles
Yes.
like God of War Ragnarok.
Yeah.
Yes, there are people completely boycotting Sony because it was them specifically.
Yeah, it's Sony. So
the
I'm like,
devs of
dude,
Helldivers tried to fight it, and originally they signed contracts they shouldn't have.
they literally signed away the hype of their game,
Yeah,
which really sucks.
Yeah.
And
one of the best games.
it still is like, and it's sad because I played it and I was like, okay, I remember when I was kind of good at this game, and I kind of feel like I missed that, but at the same time I'm like,
We had a lot of fun.
I had a lot of fun, but like I don't know if I can still have the same fun knowing that
The bullshit.
the bullshit is just like I can't support it. You know?
Right,
I
it's-
can't,
it's
I
like-
can't
it's-
ethically-
Yeah.
I can't ethically support it. So I'm stuck in this needle in a hard place where like I know I can play this game with this friend who's like he never gets to play video games with friends, and like it's the one game that like people have been like kind of hyping up,
It's a good excuse.
and like it's part of the reason why he started playing the PS4, and I was like, you know what, I'll just play it with him.
It's a valid
because
excuse.
it's a valid like experience for him, but I won't play it outside of that time.
dirty.
It feels dirty.
In the words of
Our
Anthony
Lord and
from
Savior.
Previous tonight.
Oh, me? What?
Don't yuck your own yum.
I've already done so, sir.
but-
He's
like-
not
but
yucking
like-
his own yum. Sony yucked it. Sony
Yeah.
pooped
I
on
know,
it.
But like, he shouldn't feel bad about enjoying this experience because of that.
Yeah.
Is the unfortunate.
That's like
thing.
saying you shouldn't feel bad about enjoying your blood diamond.
You should definitely feel bad about it.
Eric, that's what you just said. You shouldn't feel bad about enjoying your blood diamond.
I
Prove me wrong.
That is not the, that's not the same.
It's totally the same.
Here's the thing. If you have a friend that like enjoys Helldivers 2 and your chance to play with them is to play Helldivers 2 and you have fun playing Helldivers 2, like nobody can take that from you.
That's
It's
fair.
a fun game.
Yeah.
And you're going to have fun, and that doesn't diminish the experience of the game. It sucks what Sony is doing, and Sony sucks for it. And should you boycott it? The people are rightfully within their right to do so, and they're in the right, like
Yeah.
to make that boycott. But
Yeah.
for the people that are enjoying Helldivers 2, that might be the only thing that they're able to go and enjoy, you know, and
Yeah.
they, like you can't take
You know
that away.
what's really funny about it though
But
is it's one of those situations where if Sony would just candidly explain,
what's going on with it?
completely open, maybe
Bro, they're a Japanese-owned company. What are you fucking talking about?
I understand, but like the funny thing is, this is being depicted in a great show, Silo. And if you watch Silo,
Watching Silo, yeah.
are you up to date?
Yep.
Isn't it obvious that if you just tell the truth, all your problems are solved?
Yep.
But you just keep not telling the truth, and it's
But you should have started, like, they are so deep into their lies that there's no way that you can come out from it. For Silo's experience, for Sony's experience, there is no stake like that. You can literally come out and be like, this is exactly what's going on. Like, this is the reason why we've done what we've been doing. And we'd be like, okay, fair. Like, either I don't fuck with you anymore, or I can still affirm my fandom and continue. But this is true of every company, but especially Sony. They're not gonna. There's no reason for them. They make millions of dollars in a quarter of the year, and then they make billions a year. Like, no.
Yeah, it's weird.
On that somber note, if you want us,
Why would you do that?
hit that subscribe button, like all of our videos.
Oh my God.
Comment below.
Dark.
Tell us how to make money.
Dark.
How to Ruin a Podcast by Eric Ashley. End on every low note.
Look, he has a bit. He's sticking to it. You gotta give it to him for his freaking focus.
Look at
Okay.
Look at that.
You like bitter
Turn it
chocolate,
around.
don't you? You like the bitter part
can't
of the
believe you
whiskey,
typed
don't you?
100%.
Can't believe you typed "I'm bored" in the chat. You ass. Eric, go for it, dude. Go for your thing, Eric.
yes.
Go ahead, sign us out.
Yes, like and subscribe below. We are not going to have an episode next week. However, the week after that, we will be in person. However, I think we're planning to do a live stream of some gaming. I am sure we will do at some point. And then we will have a special episode on New Year's Eve, which will be on Tuesday all together.
Guys,
I don't know when it will be yet.
I didn't say that.
Say what?
I didn't write those messages.
You must have read
Anthony?
the messages.
Anthony,
And it
don't
says
fuck
I
with
said
me,
it in your Taphaven chat.
Anthony,
You did.
this is not the time to say that there's a ghost in your
Oh,
machine.
guys, I was talking about fucking what Ash was talking about, playing Smash Brothers. That was so long ago. I was like, I didn't say that like any time. That was like 30 minutes ago.
Honestly, guys, I don't think we're ready to have like a Smash.
We're not playing Smash.
Right.
That's why
We're
I said
not.
that. I was
'Cause
quoting.
if we're 1v1ing, I'm gonna get really competitive.
Exactly. You're
really
going to be competitive.
fast.
People that don't know what's happening are going to be like, I'm bored. That's what I was saying.
Yes,
Dude,
absolutely.
you convinced me for a second that I was saying I'm bored about what y'all were talking about. I was like, no, why would I ever do that?
Eric, finish the sign off.
I'm so sorry.
So we won't see y'all next week. Everybody have a happy holiday. The week after that, tune in for us live in person.
No, don't have a happy holiday. Have a happy Fat
We will
Man.
see you then.
Watch Fat Man. Go watch Fat Man.
Go watch Fat Man.
Yes.
Happy Fat Man.